I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. And when we are covering one of those stories involving school shootings and school shooters, unfortunately, it's way too often. But when we cover these stories, one of the questions that always comes up after we get some of the facts is, could it have been prevented? Were there signs? Was there anything on social media? Were there any conversations with classmates? Was there any indication, odd behavior, threats that had been made in the past? Did law enforcement, did they have notice of this? Is there anything they could have done to stop this? And the reason we ask those questions is because we want to learn from these awful, awful mass shootings. We want to learn. We want to see what we can do to prevent the next one. So when Columbine happens or Sandy Hook happens, we look back and we pick it apart and we try to figure out what happened and what could we have done differently. But tonight, we're talking about something completely different. We're looking back at the school shooting in Oxford, Michigan, and saying, wait a minute, is there someone else who should be held criminally responsible for these deaths? Of course, the shooter will be charged. The shooter should be held criminally responsible. But is there anyone else in his life who should be held criminally responsible for what the shooter did inside that school? And I'm talking about the parents. The parents. What did they know? When did they know it? What did they do? What didn't they do? What did they say? What didn't they say? And this is brand new territory, folks. Brand new territory, because again, think about the situation. You are not talking about holding the shooter responsible. Yes, he will be charged. He has been charged. We're talking about taking it to the next level. The parents of the shooter. Should they have done something different? Were their actions, inactions, to blame, part of the cause of what happened inside of that school? Could they have prevented it? And if so, should they be held criminally responsible? Right now, I want you to take a look at more about the Oxford shooter and his parents.
The deputies took a suspect into custody within 5 minutes of the original 911 call. They recovered a handgun from the suspect. The suspect fired multiple shots. There's multiple victims.
I was basically in the fetal position, shaking, because I was scared. It was very scary, but we were trying not to panic.
It's just crazy because people always say it's never going to happen to them. And the fact that it happened to two people that I really care about, it's just really hard.
15-year-old Ethan Crumbley accused of shooting and killing 4 classmates and injuring 7 others at Oxford High School.
While the shooter was the one who entered the high school and pulled the trigger, there are other individuals who contributed to the events on November 30th, and it's my intention to hold them accountable as well. Based on the information and evidence I have received, today I am announcing charges against the shooter's parents, Jennifer and James Crumbley.
We have, in fact, taken into custody without incident James and Jennifer Crumbley, the fugitives involved in the Oxford incident.
In Ethan's journal, which was provided in discovery, he explicitly states, and I quote, that he has to find where his dad hid the firearm.
The evidence will show that Ethan Crumbley was gravely troubled. He was fascinated with firearms. He was violent. He displayed terrifying tendencies and behaviors, and he literally sketched out what he had planned to do in his journal and his drawings. It was a negligence on the part of these defendants and their failure to perform the duties of their parents far precedes November the 30th.
Okay, I want to put up on the screen the charging document, okay? So you can have an idea of what exactly prosecutors are saying here these parents did that should make them criminally responsible for that shooting. Take a look, folks. Involuntary manslaughter, okay? That's the charge. Did cause the death of Madison Baldwin, Tate Meyer, Hannah St. Juliana, and Justin Schilling by committing the following act or acts in a grossly negligent manner, to wit, storing his or her firearm and its ammunition so as to allow access to the firearm and ammunition by his or her minor child, or the grossly negligent failure to perform the following legal duty, to wit, failure to exercise reasonable care to control his or her minor child so as to prevent him from intentionally harming others, or from so conducting himself so as to create an unreasonable risk of bodily harm to others, knowing that he or she has the ability to control his or her child and knowing of the necessity and opportunity to do so. Not controlling your child and allowing access to this weapon. That's what they're saying here. That's what they're saying here. Today began the preliminary hearing. This is where prosecutors have to convince a judge that there's enough evidence to get this to trial. Now, this is not like most of the cases on Court TV. This is brand new territory that we're in tonight. So I want you to take a listen to some of the testimony from Amanda Holland, who is the co-worker of the shooter's mother. Take a listen.
At some point, did she leave?
Yes.
Okay. And did she come back to work that day?
Yes.
All right. When she came back to work, what did she tell you?
She came over to my desk. She said that she felt like a failure as a parent, and she showed me a photo of what Ethan had drawn at school.
Okay, and that was previously admitted. Do you need to see it to describe it, or do you remember the photo?
I remember the photo.
Okay, how would you describe the writings on the worksheet?
Disturbing.
Okay, and what was your response?
I told her I thought that was scary.
I'm sorry, you said what?
I told her I thought it was scary that he would draw that.
And what was her response?
She agreed.
Okay. Did she talk to you at all about what the meeting was about or what the school wanted her to do?
Yes.
What did she say?
She said that that they were concerned with his drawing, that they were concerned that he may be feeling badly at school and that something could happen. She said that they were requiring him to engage in counseling and that he needed to do that quickly. But that's to the extent.
What was her demeanor when she's talking to you about this?
My initial thought was it seemed a little sarcastic, the way that she said that she felt like a failure. As she was talking, it was a little concerned.
Okay. Did you have a conversation at some point about whether or not she should go and get her son from school?
I felt I would have brought him home. I told her I thought.
Did you have a conversation about that?
Yes.
Tell me what did you say?
I said it would be nice for her to take him for a day to, go see a movie or go have lunch or do something with him.
On that day?
Yes, on that day. The day that I said she should have brought him home.
And why did you say that?
I felt it was a disturbing photo, and I thought this child needed to be around family. That's what I would have done, and I told her I thought that's what she should have done.
Okay.
And there's a lot of facts surrounding all this. You've got the weapon, you've got that drawing that he made, the conference at school, and then the parents leave, the child goes back, and we know what happened next. Let's bring in our think tank tonight. Joining us in Atlanta, Georgia, criminal defense attorney, former federal prosecutor and law professor at Texas Southern University, Michael Sterling. In Seattle, Washington, trial attorney Ann Bremner. And look who's back, folks. In West Palm Beach, Florida tonight, former police lieutenant, trial attorney, arch nemesis of Michael Sterling, Rick King is back with us. Great to see everyone tonight. Thanks for being here. Okay, and Rick, since you haven't been here for a while, let me start with you. Are you comfortable with prosecutors moving forward with a case against the parents of the school shooter for not controlling their child?
So I'm comfortable with as a society looking for the ultimate causes of these problems that are taking place around our country. So I'm comfortable in society for us doing that. I don't know that in this case, when you look at what happened here, because ultimately the school and the parents were contacted. Well, the school contacted the parents regarding this drawing. The drawing was disturbing. The school had the ability to say, take your child home. The school had the ability to call the police at that moment to get them involved. And that's probably what should have been done right then and there, because the police would have probably done a little bit more than what was actually done at the school. When you talk about searching the backpack, the school should have done that too. So there's so much, there's blame to spread around in this case. And I don't know if we can fairly fixate on the parents. You know, I wish, and I know all of us with children have said this, I wish there was a manual that came with raising children. But you're kind of, at this point, could they say, hey, we were relying on the experts. The school said it's okay to leave him here. And so that's what they did. So to answer your question, am I comfortable going that way? Yes. But also, I think that there's enough blame to go around.
Ann Bremner, you're a trial attorney. You were a prosecutor at one point. Look, there's another fact in all of this, right? Which, and I think this is a big fact. It wasn't talked about much today, which is that the parents knew that they had a gun in the house. All right, I don't know if the counselors knew. And, you know, there's posts on social media where the gun was really his. They maybe tried to keep it from him. I'm not sure about that. That's not clear to me yet. Your thoughts, Ann? Are you comfortable in pursuing this case criminally?
Absolutely. And I should say happy birthday, Vinny. Was that last week?
Last week, thank you.
And yeah, and welcome back, Rick. We've missed you. It's so great to have you back. But I absolutely, maybe I'm an ex-prosecutor, maybe I don't have kids, but I look at this and think it's a no-brainer. They knew he had a gun. In fact, his mom talked about it on social media, saying she was going to go shooting with, quote-unquote, his gun. The things he wrote were things like, you know, things of blood and death and guns, and then writing, help me. I mean, this is beyond disturbing. It's beyond sarcasm from the mother. And then they let him go with his backpack, and after having these really disturbing things and searching for ammunition on the internet. So to me, it's a textbook case for when you should bring in the parents. And I think a lot of people thought when this decision was made in this case to charge the parents, people thought, finally, there's this kind of accountability.
Yeah, this is new ground, Michael Sterling. This is new ground here. And failure to exercise reasonable care to control his or her minor child.
Yeah, Vinny, I think that we have to be careful because I want to look at the bigger picture here because I don't think you can look at this in the abstract. I think you have to look at whether or not there are due process rights involved. For example, whether or not punishing a parent on the, basically the unproven or the general assumption that they bear responsibility for their juvenile's delinquency, I think that can impact due process rights. I mean, it really turns unlucky parenting into potentially a criminal offense because as hard as I look, Vinny, in preparing for tonight's show, I could find no empirical evidence that demonstrated a causal relationship between a parent's supervision and a child's delinquency. There are children who succeed despite parents' failures, and there are children who go a completely different way despite a parent's overwhelming love, affection, and child rearing. And so, in terms of looking at the big picture, I think as a country, we have to be careful that we're not violating due process rights, that we're holding the right people accountable because, where do we go from here? As Rick mentioned, could the school have some responsibility? Is there a teacher that has some sort of vicarious liability or responsibility for failing to do their due diligence or do their job? The school said, let him stay. I just think we have to be careful that we're not violating individuals' due process rights by holding them liable for someone else's actions, even if it is the parents of the juvenile delinquent.
All right, when we come back, we're going to talk more about this. This is an important case, folks. You can tell by the comments by the think tank so far tonight. This is a groundbreaking, potentially game-changing in the way these cases are handled. So this is almost like a test case. Obviously, it's specific to the facts, and we'll get to more of the facts, more of the testimony from court today when we return.